macOS 26 Tahoe. Is it really that bad? Well, some well-known Apple pundits, Apple commentators, have claimed it is. And in fact, some have gone so far as to saying that they'll never install it on any of their Macs. Well, is it really that bad? I don't think so, and I'll explain why in this video. So, there's been a number of very trenchant criticisms made by some of the more well-known Apple commentators on the web. I won't mention names, but if you've come across this, you'll know who they are. And they've been saying that Tahoe is an upgrade, a terrible upgrade, that it's not worth installing, that there are too many issues with it. Well, as I say, I'm not so sure about that. So what are the main criticisms they've made? Well, as far as I can tell from reading about this, it seems to be mainly concerned with the new UI, liquid glass, and some particular issues with that. Not necessarily liquid glass as a whole, although some people don't like it at all. And it doesn't seem to be that it's liquid glass on iOS and iPadOS, although again some people are not keen on that. It seems to be the criticism seems to be mainly directed at liquid glass on macOS Tahoe. Specifically, some have claimed that there's a number of glitches and inconsistencies in the interface now. For example, it's been claimed that resizing windows is not as easy as it should be because it's less easy to actually find the sort of handles at the corner of a window in order to resize it. There's been criticism made about some of the new icons, that they're too simple and don't necessarily, they're poorly designed and they don't necessarily indicate what the app is that they're meant to be, that they're attached to. So that's been one issue that has exercised some people. There's also been a criticism of the fact that in the menus, in the drop-down menus now, there are little icons to the left of the text, which it's been claimed are firstly unnecessarily, they're extraneous, and secondly that they're not consistent between different applications. So that the icon attached to new, for a new document in one app is different from the one attached to the menu item new in other apps. What else? Yeah, I came across a criticism recently by someone who claimed that Tahoe, because of liquid glass and because of the additional interface elements that's introduced, means that there's less actual display real estate now for the actual app, and that this is a particular issue on, say, smaller displays like 14-inch. So there's probably been other things mentioned as well. So it basically seems to come down to concerns about the user interface. It's also being claimed as well that some of these UI changes actually contradict Apple's own human interface guidelines, as they're called, the document which Apple has been around for a number of years, in which Apple details how they think UI interface elements and the overall GUI should be designed. So those are some of the main criticisms, and as I say, it's led to some well-known pundits saying that they will never install macOS Tahoe on any of their Macs because it's so bad. Well, is that the case? I mean, is it really that bad? Let's take some of the issues. So, as regards the overall user interface, so here I am on macOS Tahoe. Well, I have to say that, it seems fine to me. I mean, maybe I'm easily pleased. I don't know. Maybe I don't notice some of these issues. I just find that it looks fine. I mean, I think it looks very nice. It's up to the usual standards for macOS. I think it looks really, really good. I don't find the liquid glass issue to be a problem. I mean, you don't have to. It's possible to, as I've done here, to set it so that you don't have too many of the sort of transparent of liquid glass elements. I mean, there's an option now in the settings to change it from clear to tinted. You can go for default icon appearance. So you have the colors, so they just look basically as they always have. You don't have to go for the clear icons. I mean, that's often the case with new interface, new upgraded OS versions of Mac OS. Particularly when there's a new overall style introduced, as there has been this time with liquid glass. There's going to be some issues, some inconsistencies to begin with, but over time Apple addresses these, and I think they've already done that. As you can see, I don't have any problems resizing windows. I don't see where the issue that maybe it was there to begin with, maybe it's been now corrected, but I've never had an issue with resizing windows. I seem to be able to move the mouse or the cursor with my mouse or trackpad to the corner and drag and resize, or to the side, just the same as before. I don't really see any issues, I must admit, with that. I certainly haven't noticed there being less sort of display real estate for the apps. Could be, maybe that's because I'm normally on a 27-inch Studio Display or on a 16-inch MacBook Pro. But I mean, I've as you would know from my video, I've now got a MacBook Neo, which of course has only a 13-inch screen. And again, I haven't actually, of course, used the previous version of macOS on the Neo. It came with Tahoe installed, so in a sense I can't, I can't do a direct comparison. But it doesn't strike me that Safari or whatever is taking up any more space than it did previously. Maybe it is, but it's not something I've noticed it. And certainly when it comes to my Studio Display or my MacBook Pro, that hasn't really been something I've noticed at all. Not at all. The icons, yeah, okay. Maybe they're not as nicely designed as they were previously. I mean, I suppose the ones on the Creator Studio apps are a little bit basic, perhaps, a bit simple. But does that really matter? I mean, they're just apps. They're just icons. They're just attached, which as long as they indicate what the app is, which they do, and you just click on them. I mean, often you don't. I mean, I use an app launcher, Alfred or Spotlight. I just type in the name to launch apps, as I think a lot of people do. You don't not necessarily even click on the icon in the dock, but it's really. Okay, if you're a UI purist, you want the best looking icons, and you regret the fact that over time they've become more simplified, which I think it's fair to say they definitely have. But it's not something really that affects the usability of them. I don't think so. It's not really an issue. And what about these menus at the side of the these icons rather at the side of each menu item? Well, I have to say, until I read about that, I'd never even noticed they were there. Presumably they weren't there before, before Tahoe came along. But I must admit, I never noticed the fact that they're there now. It's only until I read about it that I noticed them. And as far as I can see, it's not an issue. I mean, so what? As long as the text is still there, so you know what the menu item is, it's open, it's save, it's print, whatever, which they are. The little icons to the left are pretty much, irrelevant. I mean, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And the fact that maybe they're not consistent of the different apps again is not an issue, because the word, if you're wanting to open something, a document or a file, then it will, the word open will be consistent in different apps. It will always say open or save as, or new, or print. So that's all that matters. As long as you know what the menu item is going to do, and that's given not by the icon but by the text, it's so what? It's just not an issue. So, I think that these issues that are being raised with the UI are overblown. The idea that you would not install Tahoe because of them is frankly ludicrous in my view, particularly when you take account of the fact that Tahoe does introduce some really useful new features to macOS. For example, Spotlight. Spotlight is much improved in Tahoe. It's much more useful now than it was before. It's got a clipboard manager built in now, for example, which has never been the case before. I mean, you've been able to use third-party utilities. I mentioned Alfred, I think, before, that has that, and I've always used that, but now you don't, it's built into Tahoe. It's about time. It should have been there a long time ago, I think, but now it's there. Launching apps is much better now with Spotlight. You've also got these, I think they're called smart actions in Spotlight, where you can assign, a keyboard shortcut to do things very quickly, like sending a message or doing something like that. That there's a lot more useful. Spotlight is a lot more useful now than it used to be, and for power users in particular, it's a real bonus. What else? Yep, continuity has been improved in Tahoe. The continuity features, which I think are one of the best things about the Apple ecosystem, the operating system, the way that the different ones integrate continuity is terrific. I mean, I use Universal Clipboard, I use Universal Control, I use Continuity Camera, I use iPhone mirroring. All these things are really good, and now it's even better with Tahoe, because you can now, as well as putting iPhone widgets on your desktop, which I think you could do in the previous version, but you can now also get live activities on the menu bar. Live activities from the phone will appear in the menu bar in Tahoe. Again, a very nice, useful feature. And also, there's a now dedicated phone app. You've always been able to, or for a while, been able to make phone calls on your Mac via your iPhone, haven't you? But now, with the dedicated phone app in Tahoe, that's much better, much easier, and that's something, again, I use quite a lot. Shortcuts are so much better now, been improved a lot in Tahoe. So again, if you're a power user who likes creating shortcuts, you like the automation facilities that Shortcuts provide, then that's been beefed up quite considerably in Tahoe. So, if you don't install it, you'll miss out on that. One final thing I could mention is the fact that the control center in Tahoe is much more customizable than it was in the previous OS versions. Again, a nice feature, a nice useful addition to the operating system, to macOS, which Tahoe has introduced. I think there's other things as well. I mean, if you go to the Tahoe page on Apple's website, it lists some more things. But overall, as far as I can see, Tahoe is a very worthwhile upgrade because of these really quite useful new features. I mean, in some ways, it's a better upgrade in terms of providing useful new functionality than some previous upgrades have. Okay, maybe it's not perfect. Maybe there will still perhaps be some bugs and inconsistencies in it, but those will gradually be ironed out over time. We're already on, is it 26.3? I think 26.4, fairly imminent, and Apple has already refined some of those inconsistencies and UI issues which people have mentioned. So, as far as for me, not installing it because you don't like the icons next to the menu items, or something as trivial, to be honest, as that, I think is foolish. Tahoe is a very worthy upgrade. I'm glad I've installed it on my Macs, and I certainly wouldn't want to go back to the previous version.